Welcome to the MultiREBAR RC Tutorial 5. This tutorial has been designed to demonstrate the key aspects needed to detail slabs using MultiREBAR. The detailing methods, number, type and spacing of reinforcement bars used have been chosen purely to show the functionality of the software and is in no way meant to be used as a standard detail. Please allow at least 28 minutes to complete this tutorial. Let's begin by starting a brand new drawing in AutoCAD. We can use the multi.dwt as we are working in metric, and then select Open. We are now presented with the multi-draft drawing setup. We can accept the A1 border size, but we will set the drawing scale for our new drawing as 1:50, and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We can also edit the file name to rctut5 so that we can refer back to it later. To assist with this tutorial, the concrete outline of the slab used in this tutorial can be imported from page 2 of the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library. We can access the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library layout from the MultiREBAR toolbar, and then scroll along to page 2 as shown. Once we are presented with the MultiREBAR Concrete Member Library dialog box, we can select Member 23. The Import Member dialog box now appears. This dialog box is covered in depth in Tutorial 2. For this tutorial, we can accept the default values and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We can now select anywhere in our drawing to place our outline. Once placed, the MultiREBAR Member Summary dialog box appears, and again, this dialog box is covered in depth in Tutorial 2. For this tutorial, we will rename the title to Slab 1 and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. When prompted to place a member title on the drawing, we can select Yes, and then place our member title anywhere on the drawing, as shown. MultiREBAR now zooms to our bar list, and is asking us to select a line where we wish to start listing our new member from. You will notice small magenta tags to the left of the bar list, so let's start ours at the top of the bar list by selecting the first tag. MultiREBAR then zooms us back to our previous view. Again, the MultiREBAR Member Library workflow and its features are covered in more depth in Tutorial 2. Before we start to place any bars on our slab outline, we can set up parameters such as cover lines, bar curtailments and lap offsets. If you have not yet completed Tutorials 1 and 2, then you can bring up the MultiREBAR calculators by right mouse clicking over the MultiREBAR toolbar and selecting Calculators. There are lots of different options available to us in the MultiREBAR Calculators toolbar, but we will start off by using the Cover Offset option. There are also many different offset options available to us, but we will start off by simply ensuring that the short line toggle is switched off, allowing us to offset complete lines. We will then select the 50mm option from the Cover Offset dialog box. When prompted, we can select the perimeter lines of our slab outline to create 50mm internal cover offset lines, as shown. And then Enter to finish the command. Now that we have placed our simple offsets, let's use intelligent offsets for our bars using values from the detailing code. This time when we look along the MultiREBAR Calculators toolbar, if we select the Curtailment Calculator option, we will be presented with the correct curtailment depending on the curtailment condition that we apply. As we are working on a slab, we can change the condition from beam to slab using the toggles on the dialog box as shown. We can also set our condition as simply supported end from the rule pop list. We could use the pick option to pick 2 points on our drawing or select a dimension to measure to indicate the span. We will simply type in our span value in the dialog box. We can also change the factor to the curtailment rules and can see that MultiREBAR has now calculated the correct curtailment value. Once we are happy with our choices, we can select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We can now select the centre line of our right beam and offset inside. We can then repeat this for our left-hand beam. We can also offset from the opening in the slab, and then enter to finish the command. To finish off our offsets, we can also use the MultiREBAR calculator to create our intelligent lap offsets. This time, when we look along the MultiREBAR calculator's toolbar, if we select the lap calculator option, we will be presented with the correct laps depending on the bar size or concrete grade that we choose. We will presume that we will be using H16 bars in our slab, so let's select an H16 from the bar size pop list and leave the concrete grade as the default value. We now have our tension lap offset value. When we select OK, the laps dialog box will disappear and the command line is again prompting us to select object to offset. We can use our pick box to select the curtailment offset lines we placed earlier as our base and then offset the lines as shown. And then enter to finish the command. We are now ready to draw our first range of bars in the slab. There are various ways of drawing a bar in MultiREBAR, and we will start off by accessing the bars toolbar from the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then scroll along and select the bar shape that we require. In this instance we are looking for a straight bar. Once we have the correct bar shape code, we can release on the icon. This will then bring up the MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box. This dialog box is covered in depth in tutorials 1 and 2, and it is recommended, if you have not already done so, that you complete these tutorials for a better understanding of the drawbar dialog box. For this tutorial we will change the label style to range marker, and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. MultiREBAR is now asking for our bar start point, which we can select as shown, and then the end point of our bar, which we can also select as shown. MultiREBAR is now asking for the extents of our bar range, which we can also select as shown. Our bar range has been placed, and a label is waiting for us to select where we wish to place it in our drawing. Once we have selected the label position, the bar quantity dialog box will pop up. MultiREBAR is always looking for ways to rationalize the quantity of bars, and in this case asking if we wish to save bars by using nominal spacing. We will accept the saving and then select OK. There are many different options available to us in the bar quantity dialog box, and again these are covered in depth in tutorials 1 and 2. For this tutorial we will change the comment to B1 to indicate that the bars are in our B1 layer, and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. Now that we have the hang of drawing ranges, let's draw our second range of bars. Again, we can move over to the main MultiREBAR toolbar, and then scroll along the bars toolbar, and select the bar shape that we require. In this instance, we are looking for a shape type 11. Once we have the correct bar shape code, we can release on the icon. This will again then bring up our MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box. MultiREBAR has automatically allocated the next bar mark, and as all of the other settings are correct, we can select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We are now prompted for the start point of our bar, and we will be drawing our shape type 11 bar as if it were laid on its side. We can select a point on our 50mm cover offset line, and then type 500 at the AutoCAD command line for the first leg length. We can then select a point on our previously placed curtailment offset line to complete the bar. The bar has now been drawn and a tag has also been placed, and again we can specify the start and then the end point of our range. We can then place our label, accept the nominal bar spacing saving and select OK, and also accept the values in the bar quantity dialog box and then select OK to finish the command. Let's now draw our third range in the slab using what we have just learnt. Again, we can move over to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then scroll along the bars toolbar and select the bar shape that we require. Or we can just type in the shape type, in this case 11, at the AutoCAD command line as shown. This again will then bring up our MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box. Once again, MultiREBAR has automatically allocated the next bar mark, and as we are happy with the other values presented, we can select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. We are now prompted for the start point of our bar, and again we will be drawing our shape type 11 bar as if it were laid on its side. We can select a point on our 50mm cover offset line around the opening in our slab, and then type 130 at the AutoCAD command line for the first leg length. We can then select a point on our previously placed curtailment offset line to complete the bar. The bar has now been drawn and a tag has also been placed, and again we can specify the start and then the end point of our range. We will select the start and end point of our previously offset cover line as the start and end point for our range. We can then place our label, and accept the values in the bar quantity dialog box, and then select OK to finish the command. Now that we have drawn a variety of simple bar ranges, let's use MultiREBAR to draw multiple ranges on either side of the opening in our slab. We can move over to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then scroll along the bars toolbar and select the bar shape that we require. We will select a straight bar. This again will bring up our MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box. We can accept all the settings in the drawbar dialog box as shown, but in addition to this we will ensure that we check the multiple range option in the dialog box, and then select OK. We can then draw our straight bar as shown. When prompted, we can select the start and then the end point for the first of our multiple ranges. We can then place our label, accept the nominal bar saving, and also accept the values in the bar quantity dialog box, and then select OK. Instead of finishing the command as we did in our previous ranges, MultiREBAR is now asking for the extents of our next range, so we can repeat what we have just done to create our second multiple range. By selecting the start and then the end point of the range, accept the values in the bar quantity dialog box, and then select OK. You will notice that MultiREBAR is asking if you wish to place another view of the bar in the second range, and you can enter or right mouse click to say None required. MultiREBAR is then prompting us for the start point of our next multiple range. As we do not require another range, we can simply enter or right mouse click to finish the command. You will notice that the quantity of bars for each range are shown in brackets on the range marker. Let's now draw the final range in our slab. We can move over to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then scroll along the bars toolbar and select the shape that we require. This will then bring up our MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box. We can set our label style to range marker and then select OK. We are again prompted for the start point of our bar, and again we will be drawing our shape type 11 bar as if it were laid on its side. We can select a point on our 50mm cover offset line around the opening in our slab, and then type 130 at the AutoCAD command line for the first leg length. We can then select a point on our previously placed lap offset line to complete the bar. The bar has now been drawn and a tag has also been placed, and again we can specify the start and then the end point of our range. We can use AutoCAD snap tools to indicate the start and end points of our range, which will cover the extents of the opening in our slab as shown. We can then place our label, and if you right mouse click, you can rotate the label by 90 degrees, as this would be the commonly used convention for bar call-offs in this example. We can change the comment to B1, accept the values presented in the bar quantity dialog box, and then select OK to finish the command. As we have identical beams on both sides of our slab, we could reuse the bar mark 02 for the left beam. We could just use the AutoCAD mirror command to mirror the bar and then relabel it by creating a new range. Instead, we will use the MultiREBAR mirror member command. This command can be used to mirror one or a number of bars and labels at the same time. It will also ensure that labels do not get mirrored, as would happen if you use the normal AutoCAD mirror command. We can access the MultiREBAR mirror member command by moving across to the main MultiREBAR toolbar, selecting the Concrete Outlines 2 toolbar, and then scroll along until we locate the mirror member command. Once we release on the icon, we are prompted to select objects. We can now select bar mark 02 and all of its associated label information. Once selected, it is very similar to the AutoCAD mirror command. We can select the base point. When prompted to delete old objects, we can say no. We can then confirm that we wish to mirror the bars into our Slab 1 member to complete the command. Our bar and label information has now been mirrored, with the label information retaining its original format. Let's now use a different draw method in MultiREBAR to detail some trimmer bars for our slab opening. We can use the AutoCAD line command to draw a meter-long line at the top right-hand corner of our opening, as shown. We can now move across to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then select a straight bar. In the MultiREBAR drawbar dialog box, we can change the draw method to form bar. Change our bar size to an H12, and also change our label style to leader, and then select OK. When prompted to select objects, we can simply select the AutoCAD line that we just drew, and it will be formed into our bar. We can then place our label. In the bar quantity dialog box, we can use a bar multiplier. To do this, we can select the grey button to the left of the quantity pop list. We can then type in our bar multiple, as shown, and then select OK. We can also choose trimmers from the comment pop list. When prompted, we can choose anywhere on our bar for our leader termination point. When detailing bob bars on plan, you may not always want to show the true view of the bar, so MultiREBAR gives you the option to change the bar view. In MultiREBAR there has to be one true view of each bar somewhere in the AutoCAD DWG. This could be on plan or in section. Sometimes this may not be possible, so the true view may be drawn outside the plot area. In this tutorial we will be changing the views of the L bars that were drawn as if they were laid on their sides. So that we have a true view somewhere on the drawing, we will use AutoCAD Copy to copy these views and move them outside of our border as shown. We can also provide handy reference labels for these bars. To do this, we can access the MultiREBAR Labels toolbar. Scroll along until we find the Ref Labels icon. We can then select each of the bars and place a reference label next to each bar as shown. Now that we have the true views of our L bars on the drawing, we can safely change the bar views on plan. If we move across to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and then scroll along the editing flyout until we reach the Change Bar View icon. Once we release on the Change Bar View icon, we are prompted to select the bar to change to another view. We can then select the bar and then right mouse click or enter to bring up the Next View Options dialog box. We can see many options that we can choose from, but for its location we will select as shown and then select OK at the bottom of the dialog box. When prompted if we wish to erase the original view, we can select Yes. Our bar view has now been changed to a non-bar view of the bob bar leg that we selected. We can now repeat this for the other bob bars on our drawing and change their views as shown. The bar tags that were useful when the bar was shown in true view and not required with the bar in its current view can also be erased. We can also access the MultiREBAR Refs icon again and place a reference label for each of our new non-bar views. For our trimmer bar, we could use a reference label with a leader. To do this, we can use the ref with leader icon, which can be found off the mini ref flyout toolbar to annotate our trimmer bar as shown. You may also want to show the bobbed end of the bar as a tick or a bob. This can also be easily achieved. If we again move across to the main MultiREBAR toolbar and access the label bars flyout, we can scroll along almost to the end and then select the mini symbols flyout. From the many options available to us, we can select the tick line icon. When prompted for the symbol insertion point, we can select the end of the bar view where we wish our tick line to be placed. We can then repeat this for all of our other bobbed or L bars as shown. Once we have finished, we can enter or right mouse click to finish the command. Now that we have placed our bars and ranges, let's take a look at the information that has simultaneously been generated in our bar list. To view the bar list, we can scroll along the bar list toolbar until we arrive at the View Bar Lists icon. Once there, if we release, we are then presented with our bar list and the View Bar List dialog box. This can be moved to view more of the bar list. We can also use the Zoom In button on the View Bar List dialog box to inspect our bar list closer. Select the Zoom In button on the dialog box and then select 2 points to indicate our zoom window. Now that we are zoomed in, we can see that all of the bar information has been filled in. We can also see that the multiplier that we used in the label for the trimmer bars has been reflected in our total quantity for the mark. If we select OK on the View Bar List dialog box, we will be returned to our previous view. To get the drawing ready for plotting, we can turn off all of our reference information such as cover lines and member identification, which may have been useful when detailing but not required in our final plot drawing. We can do this by simply accessing the MultiREBAR Drawbars toolbar and then scrolling along until we find our icon called Plot Layers. As you can see, there are many options that we can toggle on or off, but we will accept the default values and then select the Off button at the bottom of the dialog box. You can now see that the drawing looks a lot less cluttered and is ready for plotting. Congratulations, you have completed MultiREBAR Tutorial 5 and can now use this information to detail your own simple slab.